So, when you hear the word Iraq, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably images from the news, conflict and instability. But honestly, that's like picking up an epic novel and only reading the last torn out page. The real story of this place, well, it's one of the most incredible stories ever told, going all the way back to the very beginning of human civilization. And look, that's not just some fancy poetic line. It's the truth. The land nestled between those two famous rivers is where so much of what we even call civilization first took root. It's a story packed with unbelievable firsts and huge turning points that didn't just shape a region, they shaped the entire world. All right, so let's rewind way, way back. We're heading to Mesopotamia, which literally means the land between the rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. This area, this fertile crescent, it wasn't just a great place to grow crops, it was basically a giant laboratory for how to build a society. Just check out this timeline. It's wild. Over thousands of years, this one region saw the rise and fall of the world's first great powers. You start with the Sumerians, who were total pioneers. Then you get the Akkadians, the Babylonians, the powerful Assyrians. For ages, this was the absolute center of the ancient world, an unbroken chain of empire building and game-changing ideas. And we're not just talking about dusty old trivia here. I mean, really think about what this means. The Sumerians basically handed us the blueprint for modern life. The very idea of writing things down, that was them. Organized cities? Them too. The first concepts of law, the math that underpins our science, even how we measure time. All these world-altering ideas sparked to life right here. And if you want a perfect example of just how advanced they were, look no further than Hammurabi's Code. This wasn't just a simple list of do's and don'ts. No way. It was a seriously complex legal system that covered everything from business contracts to family law. It established this revolutionary idea that a society should be run by written laws that apply to everyone, a total game changer. Okay, let's fast forward a couple of thousand years to Iraq's second great peak. After the Islamic conquest, a new dynasty, the Abbasids, decided to build a new capital. A city that would become the undisputed intellectual center of the entire planet, Baghdad. Remember this year, 762 CE. This is when the city was founded, and from pretty much that moment on, Baghdad became a magnet for the smartest people on Earth. It kicked off an era of discovery and learning so bright we now call it the Golden Age of Islam. And right at the heart of it all was this incredible place, the Beit al-Hikmah, or the House of Wisdom. You got to picture it as a university, a massive library, and a top-tier research lab all rolled into one. If you were a scholar in the 9th century, this is where you wanted to be, period. And what came out of this place, it was just staggering. They took all this ancient knowledge from the Greeks and Persians, translated it, and then built on it. Algebra, as we know it, was born here. Medicine and astronomy took these giant leaps forward. For centuries, Baghdad wasn't just a center of learning, it was the intellectual heart of the world. But as history so often teaches us, golden ages rarely last forever. This one came to a sudden, brutal, and absolutely catastrophic end. From this point on, the story of Iraq takes a darker turn. It becomes a story of invasion, foreign rule, and a long, painful slide from its former glory. This date, 12058, is one of the great tragedies in human history. When the Mongol armies stormed the city, they didn't just conquer it, they completely annihilated it. The House of Wisdom, that incredible center of knowledge, was destroyed. They say so many books were thrown into the Tigris River that the water ran black with ink for days. The light of the world was just snuffed out. So after that total devastation, a new chapter began, one of foreign rule. For nearly 400 years, the land that was once the center of the universe became just a few provinces inside the massive Ottoman Empire. It was still strategically important, sure, but its days as a global superpower were long gone, faded into memory. Fast forward to the end of World War I, the Ottoman Empire collapses. But that doesn't mean independence for Iraq. Nope, one empire was simply swapped for another. The British took control, literally drew lines on a map that lumped different ethnic and religious groups together, and created the modern state of Iraq, all while installing a friendly king to look after their own interests. All of that instability eventually led to 1979 and the rise of Saddam Hussein. His brutal dictatorship plunged the country into decades of absolutely devastating conflict. First, a horrifying 8-year war with Iran that cost 1 million lives. Then the invasion of Kuwait, which brought on international outrage and crippling economic sanctions. And that brings us to 2003. The US-led invasion did topple Saddam's regime, but in doing so, it completely shattered the state itself. What was left was a massive power vacuum, which unleashed years and years of brutal insurgency, sectarian violence, and became a breeding ground for extremist groups. So, that whirlwind of history brings us right up to the present day. Modern Iraq is a nation that is absolutely defined by this chaotic recent past, but it's also a place that is fighting every single day to rebuild and maybe, just maybe, reconnect with its incredible ancient legacy. You can really see the phases of the last 2 decades laid out here. After that initial chaos post-invasion, the country faced a truly existential threat with the rise of ISIS, which took over huge cities like Mosul. But since their military defeat in 2017, the focus has shifted. Slowly, for sure, but it has shifted towards trying to rebuild. And this really gets to the heart of what Iraq is like right now. It's a land of contrasts. On one side, you have these immense challenges, deep political divisions, massive corruption, and constant tension with neighbors. But on the other side, you see real signs of hope. You see major reconstruction happening, a cultural scene that's coming back to life, and even the slow return of tourists who want to see those unparalleled historical sites for themselves. So that's the question we're left with, isn't it? The story of Iraq contains some of humanity's greatest achievements and some of its most painful tragedies. The future of this ancient, incredible land really all depends on one thing: whether its people can overcome the crushing weight of their recent past to build something new, something worthy of that monumental legacy.